The 9 divines have been part of Skyrim for a very long time. Most players walk past their shrines without thinking twice. But some fans have read the old texts carefully, and what they found is quiet and worth sitting with tonight. The shrines of Talos sit in cold corners of cities now, hidden, quiet. Some fans believe he grows weaker each time one of those shrines is destroyed. The Thalmor ban his worship across the Empire. Most people think that is just politics, but some players think the Thalmor understand something deeper. Worship sends something toward a god. It is not just belief. It is like a steady fire that keeps him warm. When a shrine is broken, that fire goes out. Talos started as a man. He became a god through will and the faith of others. Some fans think silence can slowly undo what faith built. He does not disappear all at once. He just gets a little quieter each time. There is a theory that Kinnereth did not start as one of the 8 divines. She may have been something wilder before. Old lore texts describe her as a spirit tied to wind and open sky. The Daedric princes are also spirits. Each one is connected to a single idea or force. Kinnereth's domain feels very close to that. Wind, sky, wild places. Some fans think she made a choice long ago. She left something older and rawer behind. She chose a quieter path. It was not an easy trade. She gave up something free to become something gentle. The candles in her temples burn low and slow. The air always feels a little cleaner inside. Stendar is called the god of mercy, but his followers do not always look merciful. The vigilance of Stendar travel across the land. They hunt Daedra and anything they think is dangerous. They protect people, but they also destroy without much pause. Some fans have noticed something harder underneath Stendar's teachings. He does not just ask people to be kind. He asks them to guard against anything unknown. Some players think that is not mercy. It is fear with a good name. A god who is afraid of what he cannot control builds walls. He calls those walls protection. His followers believe they are doing good, and maybe they are. But the fear underneath has never really left. Dibella's temples feel warm and soft. Candles, flowers, gentle voices. But her actual domain may be something sharper than beauty. Some fans think Dibella does not care about pretty things at all. What she really wants is attention. Look at who gets her blessings. Performers, storytellers, people who hold a room without trying. Not just beautiful faces, people who are watched. Some players think beauty is just the oldest way to make someone look. And Dibella has always lived in that moment. The moment when eyes turn towards something and stay. Long before the Oblivion Crisis, prayers moved easily between mortals and gods. Some fans believe that connection broke during those events. The barriers between worlds were torn open. When they were closed again, something did not seal right. Some players think the path that carried prayers was damaged. Words still leave people's lips at altars every day. But some fans believe those words arrive nowhere now. The shrines still feel warm, the candles still burn, but on the other side, there may only be quiet. It is not that the gods stopped caring. The road between them and us may simply be gone. Akatosh is the god of time. Most people know that. But some fans think his relationship with time is hard to picture. He does not move through time the way people do. He exists across all of it at once. That means he has already seen every prayer. He has already seen every answer he will give. Some players think this is why he feels so distant. He is not ignoring anyone. He just exists at a size where one prayer is very small. One lifetime to Akatosh may feel the way one breath feels to someone drifting off to sleep. here, then gone. Zenithar is the god of work and fair trade. His shrines are in markets and workshops. People pray to him before they make a deal. But some fans think his faith is harder than it looks. His teachings do not just reward effort, they judge it. Idleness is not just discouraged, it is treated like a failure. Some players think Zenithar keeps a very careful count. You bring your work. He decides if it was enough. There is no extra warmth in that. Just fairness. Strict and quiet. Long before the 8 divines were named together, Mara was already everywhere. Her worship shows up in almost every culture across Tamriel. Some old texts do not describe her as a goddess at all. They describe her as a force, something the world runs on, like wind or cold. Love, in those writings, is not just a feeling. It is a law. Mara did not make that law. She is that law. The other divines gave her a name and a place among them. But some fans think she was already present in every quiet moment of kindness, long before any of that. She did not need the title. She already was what she was. The 9 are easy to walk past in Skyrim. Their shrines sit along cold roads and inside quiet temples, but each one holds something older than it looks. They were not always what they are now. Some of them may still be changing. That is worth thinking about softly, before sleep comes. Dragons do not fear death the way people do. Most players know a dragon's soul lives on after its body falls, but some fans think the reason goes deeper. They believe dragons experience time differently, not forward, backward. A dragon may already know how its story ends. Death is not something coming toward them. It is something they have already passed. That is why they fight without panic. They are not brave. They just see time in a way we cannot. For a dragon, the end is not scary. It is already known. When Alduin devours a soul in Sovngarde, he does not just destroy it. Some fans believe he takes something from each one. Every soul carries a whole life, every memory, every choice ever made. Some players think Alduin collects those memories when he feeds. He grows stronger with each soul, not just in power, in knowledge. He learns what each person knew, their fears, their secrets. Some fans think this is why he hunts Sovngarde so carefully. He is not just eating souls, he is reading them. The sky above Sovngarde is always moving. Slow clouds, soft light, a place that feels like it is waiting. Every dragon soul the Dragonborn absorbs does not simply vanish. There is a theory that each one stays, a quiet voice, a presence in the back of the mind. Over time, the Dragonborn carries many of these. Some players think this is why the Thu'um feels so natural to them. They are not just using dragon power, they are drawing from many minds at once. Each shout has a dragon behind it, still there, patient, waiting. The first dragon word was not shouted. Some fans believe it was whispered. An early lore describes the dragon language as something that existed before sound itself. The first time a word was used, it was very small, almost nothing, like a breath in a cold room. Only later did it grow into something that could shake stone. Some players think this matters. The Thu'um did not begin with power. It began with something quiet, one small sound, and the world shifted because of it. The cold near the old word, walls, never really goes away, even on calm days, even when the sun is out. The dragons left alive in Skyrim could disappear if they wanted to. They are old. They know the land. They could fly far north and never be found. But some fans think they are not hiding at all. They believe the dragons are choosing to be found. Some players point to how dragons circle word walls, how they wait near old ruins. They could leave. They do not. Some fans think something in them wants the Dragonborn to come, not just to fight, but because they remember what it felt like to be part of the world, and they are not ready to leave it. A dragon remembers everything. Some fans believe nothing fades for them. No memory gets lost or fuzzy over time. Every century they have lived stays perfectly clear. Some players think that is a heavy thing. Humans forget that forgetting gives us rest. Dragons never get that rest. They carry every moment they have ever known, all at once, always. Some fans think this is why older dragons seem tired, not weak, just carrying more than any living thing should have to carry. Dragon names are not just labels. In the dragon language, a name holds what something truly is. Some fans believe a dragon cannot lie about its own name. But to say your name is to say what you are. Some players think about Parthenax and his name. It means ambition, overlord, cruelty in the dragon tongue. He did not change it. He kept it. He just chose to act against it every single day. His name is not something he hides from. It is something he fights against. Quietly, on top of a cold mountain, alone. Long before the Dragon War, some dragons did not fight the Nords. They taught them. Some fans believe a few dragons still carry that memory. They remember a time before the war, before the fear, when a dragon could be near people without causing panic. Some players think that memory never fully left any of them. It sits somewhere deep and quiet, unchanged, even after centuries of fighting. Even now, dragons are not easy to understand. They are old in a way that is hard to picture. They carry things no living person has ever carried. And somewhere up in the cold sky tonight, one of them is still flying, still remembering everything. The Dwemer halls are still standing. The pipes still carry steam. The machines still move. But the people who built all of it are gone. No bodies, no graves, just silence. Some fans have spent years thinking about where they went. The Dwemer did not die. That is what some fans believe. They think the whole race was pulled into the Numidium. The Numidium was a giant brass machine built using the power of a dead god's heart. Some players think the Dwemer were not destroyed. They were changed, pulled apart and put inside the machine itself. The Numidium needed something to keep it running, something deeper than just power. Some fans think it needed souls, and every Dwemer soul went into it, all at once, in a single moment. The brass halls are cold now, but the machines inside never stopped. Kagranak was not trying to become a god. Some fans think people get that wrong. He was a builder, an engineer. What he feared most was not weakness, it was ending. He watched his people live and die for centuries. Some players think his tools were never meant to steal divine power. They were meant to escape death. He did not want to rule anything. He just did not want to stop existing. That is a very different thing, and it makes him feel less like a villain, more like someone who was just afraid. Every Dwemer machine in every ruin is still waiting. The spiders, the spheres, the centurions. They were built to follow orders. Some fans think those orders were never cancelled. The Dwemer disappeared before they could shut anything down. So the machines kept going, still guarding, still walking the same paths. Some players think each one is still listening for a voice that will never come. They do not know they are waiting. They just are. And they will keep going until they fall apart. The stone floors of those ruins are smooth from thousands of years of metal feet. There is a theory that the Dwemer knew exactly what was going to happen. Some fans believe the disappearance was not an accident. It was a plan. The Dwemer were smart enough to see what Kagranak's work would cause. Some players think they made a choice. They decided that whatever came next was better than staying, better than continuing to live the way they had been. Some fans point to how organized the ruins look. Nothing is destroyed. Nothing is panicked. Everything is in order. That does not look like a disaster. It looks like a goodbye. Jiyagram Bagun was the only Dwemer who survived. He was traveling in an outer realm when the disappearance happened. He came back and found nothing. No one. Just empty halls. Some fans think his survival was not just lucky timing. They believe something about Yagram was different from the others. Some players think it was doubt. The other Dwemer fully believed in Kagranak's work. Yagram was not sure. He had questions. Some fans think that doubt kept him out of the Numidium. Belief pulled the others in. His uncertainty left him behind. Alone, but alive. Ancient Dwemer texts found in their ruins talk about the nature of the soul. They did not see the soul the way other races did. To the Dwemer, the soul was just another part of the body, something that could be studied, measured, maybe even moved. Some fans think this is the key to understanding what happened. They did not fear giving up their souls, because they did not think souls were sacred. They were tools, and tools could be used. Some players think that mindset is what made the whole event possible. They simply applied their engineering to themselves. The Dwemer also believed that the gods were not truly divine. They thought the gods were just very powerful beings that could be understood if you were smart enough. Some fans think Kagranak's project came directly from that belief. If a god is just a powerful thing, then its power can be taken, used, redirected. Some players think the Dwemer were not arrogant. They were just very logical. They followed their ideas all the way to the end. And the end took them somewhere no one has found since. What happened to the Dwemer is still unknown. No one in Tamriel has found a clear answer. The machines keep running. The halls stay empty. And somewhere in all that silence, the last thought of an entire civilization is still sitting, waiting, perfectly preserved, like everything else they left behind. The companions have been in Whiterun for thousands of years. They are warriors. They have a code. But underneath all of that, there are things the Circle never talked about openly. Some of those things are still sitting quietly in the lore today. The beast blood is not a gift. That is what some fans believe. Hircine is the Daedric prince of the hunt. He does not give things out of kindness. Some players think the werewolf curse was placed on the companions as a way to control them. Hircine wants hunters. He wants prey. A warrior who turns into a beast is useful to him. The companions thought they were gaining power. Some fans think they were actually being claimed, marked, made into something that would serve Hircine whether they wanted to or not. The old mead hall smells like fire and iron. It always has. Some things in Jorrvaskr have not changed in centuries. The original Circle knew the beast blood was spreading. Some fans believe they watched it move through the companions slowly. New members were getting the curse without asking for it. Some players think the Circle made a choice. They let it happen, not because they were careless, but because they wanted more werewolves around them, people who shared the secret, people who could not easily leave. Some fans think the Inner Circle became a group that protected itself first, the companions second. Kodlak Whitemane spent years trying to find a cure for the beast blood. He wanted to die as a man, not a wolf. He got his wish in the end. But some fans think he never fully left. Some players believe Kodlak's spirit is still near Whiterun, not trapped, not lost, just present. He cared about the companions more than anything. Some fans think a person who loves something that deeply does not simply walk away from it, even after death, even when they have every reason to rest. Wuthrad is Ysgramor's axe. The lore says it was made from the teeth of elves. That is the story the companions tell. But some fans think that story is not fully true. Some players have looked closely at the in-game descriptions and found details that do not quite add up. The axe seems older than the teeth story allows. Some fans think the material used was something else entirely. Something that predates the war with the elves. Something that Ysgramor brought with him from Atmora. The teeth story may have been added later to make the weapon feel like justice, when the truth might be simpler and older than that. The wind comes down from the throat of the world at night. It moves through Whiterun slowly. It always finds Jorvaskr. Jorvaskr is the oldest building in Whiterun, maybe the oldest in all of Skyrim. It was built around an upturned object that the ancient Nords found on the plains. Most people think that object is just an old ship or a carved stone bowl. But some fans believe it is something else. Some players think the base of Jorvaskr is a dragon's egg, a very old one, larger than anything alive today. Some fans think the egg never hatched. It just hardened over thousands of years, and the companions built their hall on top of it without knowing what was underneath. There is a theory that the dragon inside that egg is not dead. Some fans think it is sleeping, not in the way living things sleep, in a deeper way. The way old things in Skyrim go quiet for a very long time before something wakes them. Some players think the heat from the hearth above has been slowly warming whatever is below, for thousands of years, very slowly. Some fans think Jorvaskr was never just a mead hall. It was always something else too, a shell around something old, something waiting. The companions do not talk about their history the way scholars do. They pass it down through fighting and living together. Some of it gets lost that way. Some of it changes. Some fans think the real founding story of the companions is very different from what members are told today. Some players think Ysgramor was not just a warrior king. He was also a man running from something that followed him from Atmora. Some fans think the companions were not just formed out of grief for the fallen. They were formed because Ysgramor needed people he could trust, and he needed them quickly. The 500 companions who followed Ysgramor south are remembered as heroes. Their names are carved into the walls of Jorvaskr. Some fans think not all of those names belong to people who died honorably. Some players believe a few of the original 500 did things that were quietly removed from the stories, not erased completely, just softened, made easier to say out loud. Some fans think the companions have always done that, kept the hard parts of their history just out of sight, close enough to remember, far enough away to live with. The companions are still there. The fires in Jorvaskr still burn at night. The names on the walls are still there. And somewhere under all of it, something very old is still very quiet. The College of Winterhold sits at the edge of the world. The sea crashes against the rocks below it. The wind never really stops there. And somewhere inside those old stone halls, some fans believe things happened that no one has fully explained. The Eye of Magnus was awake the whole time. That is what some fans think. It sat in the center of the college and let everything happen around it. The madness, the danger, the deaths. It did not react. Some players think that was not because it had no awareness. They think it chose not to act. The eye is older than the college, older than most things in Skyrim. Some fans believe it was simply watching, waiting to see what the people around it would do. It was never out of control. It was always in control. The mages just did not know that. The stone halls of the college are always cold, even near the fires. Even in the middle of summer, the college does not sit on solid ground. Some fans believe it sits on something much older. There is a theory that the land beneath Winterhold is damaged, not from the Great Collapse, from something that happened long before that. Some players think a tear opened there, a break between the mortal world and Aetherius, the place where magic comes from. Some fans think magic feels stronger near Winterhold because it is leaking through that tear. The college was not built there by accident. The mages who chose that spot felt something. They just did not fully understand what it was. What happens to a student who pushes too far into magic and does not come back? Some fans think the college has seen this more than once. Some players believe a few students over the centuries did not die or leave. They dissolved. Magic at a certain level stops being something you use. It becomes something that uses you. Some fans think traces of those students are still inside the college walls, not as ghosts, not as people, just as something thin and quiet that moves through the air on certain nights, still present, just not in any form you could talk to. The Psijic Order showed up at the college without being asked. They spoke to the Dragonborn, they gave warnings, then they left. Most people think they came to help, but some fans are not so sure. Some players think the Psijic Order came because they wanted to see what would happen. They are the oldest order of mages in the world. They have seen things rise and fall for thousands of years. Some fans think the Eye of Magnus was something they had been watching for a long time. They did not come to stop anything. They came to observe, and the help they gave was just enough to keep things interesting. The cold wind off the Sea of Ghosts hits the college tower first, always, like it is looking for a way in. Magic in Skyrim is getting weaker. That is a theory some fans have held for a long time. The mages at the college know the old spells. They study the old texts, but some players think they also know something they do not say out loud. The connection between the mortal world and Aetherius is not as strong as it used to be. Magic still works, but it takes more effort than it once did. Some fans think the senior mages have seen this in the numbers, in how long spells last, in how hard some things have become. They teach anyway, because what else would they do? Ancano was not working alone. That is what some fans believe. He was a Thalmor agent inside the college. Most players see him as the main problem, but some fans think he was just the visible part of something bigger. The Thalmor had been watching the college for years before he arrived. Some players think other agents were already inside. Not mages, not staff, just people with ordinary jobs who sent quiet reports back to the Thalmor. Some fans think the college has never been as private as it believes itself to be. The Archmage's quarters sit at the very top of the college, isolated, quiet. Some fans think past Archmages left things behind in those rooms. Not objects, knowledge. Some players believe strong mages can leave impressions in places where they spent a lot of time. Years of deep concentration leave something behind, like warmth in a stone after the fire goes out. Some fans think the Archmage's quarters hold echoes of every person who lived there. Thoughts, half-formed spells, old decisions, still sitting in the air, quiet and unfinished. Long before the college was built, people already avoided that part of the coast. Old Nordic records mention the cliffs near Winterhold as a place that felt wrong, not dangerous, just off. Some fans think the Nords sensed the same tear that drew the mages there later. They just responded differently. The mages moved toward it. The Nords stayed away. Some players think both reactions were correct in their own way. The college was built on a place of real power. That power has always been there, waiting for someone to try to understand it. The college is still standing. The halls are still full of people learning things they do not fully understand. That has always been true, and it will probably always be true. Some places in Skyrim feel different from others. Not dangerous, not dark, just different. Like the air is thinner there. Like something happened in that spot a long time ago, and the land never fully recovered. Some fans have spent a lot of time thinking about those places. The throat of the world is not just a mountain. Some fans believe it is a wound. Something hit Nirn there a very long time ago. Something large enough to push the land up into the sky. The ancient Nords called it the throat of the world for a reason. A throat is not a peak. It is an opening. Some players think the mountain exists because the world was broken there and the broken pieces piled up. The snow at the top never melts. The air never warms. Some fans think the cold up there is not weather. It is something older, left behind from whatever caused the damage. The peak is always above the clouds, even on clear days, like it belongs to a different sky. The Forgotten Vale does not feel like part of Skyrim. Some fans think that is because it is not. There is a theory that the Vale exists slightly outside the normal world. Not in Oblivion, not in Aetherius, somewhere in between. Some players point to how isolated it is, how nothing from the outside world seems to reach it. The snow elves lived there for thousands of years, and no one found them. Some fans think the Vale sits in a fold in reality, a place where the world bent and never straightened back. You can walk into it, but it does not quite belong to the same Skyrim as everything else. Morthal sits in a swamp. The water is dark, the trees are bare, fog moves through the streets at night. Some fans think the land around Morthal is thinner than other places, not weaker, just closer to something else. Some players believe the barrier between the living world and whatever comes after is very thin there. That is why so many strange things happen near that town. The ghost that walks the burned house, the vampires in the hills. Some fans think those things are drawn to Morthal because the boundary there is soft, like a door that does not close all the way. The fog near Morthal does not lift the way normal fog does. It just thins and then comes back. Every unmarked grave in Skyrim belongs to someone. That sounds simple, but some fans think about it differently. Skyrim has hundreds of graves with no names on them, no markers, no story attached. Just some players believe every single one of those graves holds a person who had a full life, choices, relationships, things they cared about, people who knew them. Some fans think the world of Skyrim is filled with untold stories that the game never shows you. The unmarked graves are just the most visible part of that. Each one is a whole life that ended quietly, with no one left to write it down. Blackreach was not built by the Dwemer. That is what some fans believe. The Dwemer found it. They moved in and put their machines there. But the cavern itself is older than they are. Some players point to the size of it. No group of builders dug that space out. It is too large, too old. The glowing mushrooms and the underground sky do not look like Dwemer work. They look like something that was already growing when the Dwemer arrived. Some fans think the Dwemer recognized that and chose the location carefully. They built inside something ancient because the power there was already present. The light in Blackreach has no source anyone can point to. It just exists, soft and blue, like the cave has its own quiet sun. High Hrothgar sits just below the peak of the throat of the world. Most people think of it as a place the Greybeards chose, but some fans think the building was put there for a different reason. Some players believe the location was chosen because of what the mountain does to sound. At that height, a shout does not just move through air, it moves through something else too. Some fans think the Greybeards knew that. They put their home in a place where the boundary between words and the world is paper thin, where a voice can reach further than it should. The city of Winterhold was much larger once. The Great Collapse took most of it into the sea. Some fans think the collapse was not caused by the college. Some players believe the land gave way because of what was already underneath it. The tear that some fans think sits below the college may have shifted. The ground above it may have simply let go. Some fans think the collapse was not a disaster caused by mages. It was the land responding to something that had been building for a very long time. The college just happened to be there when it finally moved. Skyrim is full of places that carry more history than they show. The mountains, the swamps, the deep caves. They were all something before people arrived, and they will be something long after everyone is gone. That is worth sitting with for a while, quietly, before sleep. Riften sits at the edge of a lake. The docks are always wet. The streets are always busy with people who look like they are minding their own business. Underneath all of that, the Thieves Guild has been running things for a very long time. Some of what they do is known. Some of it is not. The skeleton key does not just open locks. That is what some fans believe. A lock is a small thing, a door, a chest, a gate. But some players think the key works on something bigger than that. It opens paths, choices, moments that would otherwise stay closed. Some fans think carrying the key changes the way luck moves around a person. Doors that should stay shut start to open. Chances that should not exist start to appear. Some players think Nocturnal designed it that way on purpose. The key was never really about theft. It was about making sure certain things could happen that otherwise never would. The water under the Riften docks is dark and still at night. It does not move much. It just sits there. Nocturnal made her deal with the Thieves Guild, knowing it would not last. Some fans believe she planned it that way. She is the Daedric prince of night and luck. She does not make deals because she wants partners. She makes deals because she wants something from them later. Some players think the guild was never really in control of the arrangement. Nocturnal gave them power and presence. In return, she got something she valued more: influence in the mortal world, eyes in places she could not reach directly. Some fans think the guild's eventual decline was not a failure. It was the deal running its course. Every nightingale gives something up. That is what some fans think. Not a physical thing, not something they notice losing. Something smaller. Some players believe each person who takes the Nightingale Oath quietly loses one thing they can never identify. A name they used to remember. A face they can almost picture. A feeling they used to have that stopped coming back. Some fans think Nocturnal collects these small losses. Not because they have value on their own, but because, across hundreds of nightingales over hundreds of years, they add up to something she finds useful. The price is invisible. That makes it easier to pay. The torches in the ragged flagon never seem to burn down. They just keep going. Nobody talks about it. The ragged flagon is older than Riften. Some fans believe the tavern was there before the city was built around it. The ratway is carved into stone that shows no Riften construction style. Some players think the tunnels were already there when the first settlers arrived. They built around the existing structure without fully understanding what it was. Some fans think the ragged flagon sits on a site that has always been used by people who operate outside of normal society, not because the guild chose it, because that kind of place tends to find that kind of use. The guild just moved in and called it theirs. The Thieves Guild has members that nobody has met. Some fans think that is not just good secrecy. Some players believe there are guild members who exist completely outside of normal view, not just hidden, absent from every record. Maven Blackbriar knows almost everything that happens in Riften. But some fans think even she does not know about these members. Some players think these are the people who handle things that cannot be handled openly. Not thieves, not guards. Just quiet presences who make certain problems go away before anyone notices they existed. Brynjolf has been with the guild a long time. He remembers when it was stronger. Some fans think he also remembers things he does not talk about. Some players believe Brynjolf has seen guild members disappear in ways that had nothing to do with guards or rivals. People who got too close to something they were not supposed to find. Some fans think the guild's history has gaps in it that are not accidents. They are removals, quiet ones, done carefully, so that the rest of the guild could keep moving forward without asking too many questions. Luck in Skyrim is not random. That is a theory some fans keep coming back to. Some players think luck in the world of the Elder Scrolls is a real force, something that flows and pools and can be directed. Nocturnal does not just represent luck. She controls where it goes. Some fans think the Thieves Guild was always just a channel for that flow, a way for Nocturnal to move luck around the world toward the outcomes she wanted. The thieves thought they were stealing for themselves. Some fans think they were always working for her. Every job, every score, every quiet night in the flagon. The guild is still there. The flagon still serves drinks. The tunnels are still full of people who know how to stay out of sight. Some things in Riften have always been this way, and some fans think they always will be. Death in Skyrim is not simple. It does not work the same way for everyone. Where a soul goes depends on who that person was, what they believed, what they carried with them. Some fans have spent a long time thinking about what really happens after the last breath. Not every soul reaches Sovngarde. That is a quiet truth that some fans keep coming back to. The Nordic afterlife is real in Skyrim. The Hall of Valor exists. But some players think the path there is not guaranteed. Some souls simply stop. Not because they were bad people. Not because they were denied entry. They just lose their way. The road between death and Sovngarde is long. Some fans think a soul without strong belief or strong memory has nothing to follow. It drifts, and drifting, over time, becomes staying nowhere at all. The mist outside the Hall of Valor moves slowly. It does not blow. It just shifts, like it is looking for something. A dragonborn soul is different from a normal one. Some fans believe it is much larger. Dragon souls are old and heavy things. When the dragonborn absorbs them, those souls do not disappear. They become part of the dragonborn's own soul. Over time, some fans think the dragonborn's soul grows too large for any normal afterlife to hold. Sovngarde was built for human souls. mortal-sized. Some players think a dragonborn who absorbs many dragon souls could not fit inside that realm, not because they are turned away, but because the door is simply too small for what they have become. The Hall of Valor is full of heroes, Nords who fought well and died with honor. They feast, they tell stories, they wait. But some fans think not all of them know they are waiting. Some players believe a few souls in the Hall of Valor do not fully understand that they are dead. They remember the battle. They remember the cold. Then they were here. Some fans think those souls believe they are resting between fights. They expect to wake up and go back. They have been expecting that for a very long time. Nobody has told them otherwise. Maybe nobody knows how. Firelight moves across the walls of the Hall of Valor, warm and steady, like any other great hall on any other night. Soul gems do not trap souls. That is what some fans believe. Or rather, they trap something alongside the soul. Some players think what a soul gem really captures is the moment of death itself, the exact instant when life ended. That moment gets sealed inside along with the soul. Some fans think this is why using soul gems feels wrong to some characters in the game. You are not just using someone's spirit as fuel. You are using their last moment over and over until the gem breaks and both are gone. When you absorb a dragon soul, you gain power. That is what the game tells you. But some fans think the full story is different. Some players believe absorbing a dragon soul is not a gift. It is a transfer of debt. Dragons are ancient. They have done things, made choices, built up weight across centuries. Some fans think that weight does not disappear when the soul moves into the dragonborn. It moves with it. Each absorbed soul adds something to the dragonborn that is not just power. It is history, obligation, a kind of quiet burden that grows heavier with every dragon defeated. Arche is the god of birth and death. He governs the cycle. Some fans think his role is more active than most people realize. Some players believe Arche does not just watch over death. He guides souls along the path after it. When a soul gets lost, some fans think it is because Arche's attention was elsewhere. He is not everywhere at once. He has too much to watch. Some fans think the souls that drift and stop are simply the ones he did not reach in time. Not forgotten, just missed. In the way that any caretaker, no matter how devoted, sometimes misses something small. The soul of a person and the soul of a dragon are not the same kind of thing. Normal souls are quiet. They hold a life, a person, a set of memories. Dragon souls are different. They hold a language, a way of understanding reality. Some fans think this is why the Dragonborn can shout. They are not just using power. They are thinking in a way that only dragons think. Some players believe every shout changes the Dragonborn a little, not physically, just in how they see things. After enough dragon souls, some fans think a Dragonborn starts to understand the world less like a person, and a little more like something much older. Souls in Skyrim are not small things. They carry everything a person ever was, every choice, every quiet moment, every fear. That is worth remembering the next time you pass a soul gem on a shelf somewhere. There is more inside it than light. The Daedric princes are not gods. They do not love mortals. They do not hate them either. They simply have their own reasons for everything they do. Some of those reasons are stranger and quieter than most people expect. Sheogorath is the Daedric prince of madness. Most players know that. But there is a theory about who he actually is now. In the game Oblivion, a mortal hero entered the Shivering Isles and became Sheogorath. Some fans think that person did not survive the transformation. Not really. Some players believe the mortal who walked in was slowly consumed by the role. The madness did not just change them, it ate them. What sits on the throne now is Sheogorath wearing the memory of a person who no longer exists. Some fans think that is why his humor always has something hollow underneath it. The joke is on someone who is no longer there to hear it. The shivering isles are always moving. The landscape shifts. The colors change. Nothing there stays the same for long. Molag Bal built Cold Harbor to look like Nirn. That is confirmed in the lore. His realm is a cold, dead version of the mortal world. Crushed, colorless, broken. Most people think he did it to mock mortals, to show them what their world looks like to him. But some fans think the real reason is different. Some players believe Molag Bal built Cold Harbor because he wanted a home that felt familiar. He is drawn to the mortal world. He thinks about it constantly. Some fans think that obsession is not cruelty. It is something closer to longing. He cannot live in Nirn, so he built a version of it he could keep, cold and still. But his. Azura appears in Skyrim as a helper. She guided the Nerevarine. She speaks warmly to those who pray at her shrines. But some fans are not sure she actually helps anyone. Some players think Azura watches events unfold and then positions herself to look like the reason things worked out. She does not change outcomes. She just shows up at the right moment and calls it guidance. Some fans think her real interest is not in mortals at all. It is in being seen as wise, as caring. The help is real enough, but the motive behind it is about her, not about the people she appears to be helping. The stars above Azura's shrine are always clear, even on cloudy nights. Some players have noticed that. Nobody explains it. Meridia hates the undead. She destroys them without mercy. Most people think this is because she values life and finds the undead offensive. But some fans think her hatred is not about principle. Some players believe something happened to Meridia personally, long ago, before most of the current lore began. Something involving the undead or necromancy that left a mark she has never moved past. Some fans think her crusade is not righteous. It is old pain dressed up as righteousness. She does what she does because she cannot stop, not because it is the right thing, because it is the only response she has left. Hermaeus Mora collects knowledge, every secret, every forgotten text, every truth that was meant to stay buried. Most people think he does it for power. Knowledge is power. That is a simple enough reason. But some fans think the real answer is sadder than that. Some players believe Hermaeus Mora cannot forget anything, ever, and every piece of knowledge he has ever encountered is still perfectly present in his mind. He collects more because he cannot help it. Some fans think he is not building a library for power. He is trying to find something that finally satisfies the need. He has not found it yet. He keeps looking. The realm of Apocrypha is endless. Dark water, floating books, fog that never clears. A place built by something that cannot stop reading. Mehrunes Dagon wants to destroy Nirn. That much is known. But some fans think his reasons are more specific than simple destruction. Some players believe Mehrunes Dagon sees the mortal world as something that should not exist, not because it offends him, but because he believes its existence is a mistake. Some fans think he is not driven by anger. He is driven by what he sees as logic. The world was built wrong. The ending he wants is not cruel in his view. It is a correction. Some fans think that makes him more unsettling than a prince who simply likes destruction. He believes he is right. Hircine is the prince of the hunt. His realm is an endless hunting ground. He gives the gift of the hunt to those he favors. But some fans think Hircine is more patient than he appears. Some players believe he does not care about any single hunt. He cares about the long game. He places his gifts carefully, waits for them to grow, waits for the people carrying them to become worthy prey. Some fans think every werewolf in Skyrim is just another animal in Hircine's personal hunting ground, moving through their lives, unaware, until the day he finally decides to come for them himself. The Daedric princes are patient in ways mortals cannot fully understand. They have time, all of it, and they use every bit of it quietly. The Elder Scrolls are not books. They are not prophecies written by anyone. They exist outside of normal time, and some fans think they work in ways that most people in Tamriel do not fully understand. The Elder Scrolls do not record events. They become them. That is what some fans believe. A scroll does not sit somewhere with words already on it, waiting to be found. Some players think the words appear as the events happen. The scroll and the moment are the same thing. One does not cause the other. They simply are each other. Some fans think this is why reading a scroll is so dangerous. You are not reading about something. You are touching the moment itself. And moments were not built to be held by mortal hands. The light in the throat of the world feels different near the top, older, like it has been there since before the mountain. The Dragonborn did not complete the prophecy. Some fans think that framing is wrong. Some players believe the Dragonborn did not fulfill something written down long ago. They became the thing the scroll always was. The prophecy was not a prediction of a person. It was a description of a role. And the Dragonborn did not step into that role. Some fans think the role shaped itself around whoever arrived. The scroll did not say a hero would come. It said this would happen. And then it did. Whether that counts as prophecy or just description depends on where you stand in time. Every person who reads an Elder Scroll loses a memory. Some fans believe it is always the same memory, not a random one, the same specific one. Some players think the scrolls take something very particular from every reader, a memory of a moment when everything felt completely still, completely right. Some fans think the scrolls trade that feeling for the knowledge they give. You gain something vast. You lose something small but irreplaceable. Most readers never notice what is gone. They just feel, afterward, like something quiet is missing. They cannot say what. They never can. Paarthurnax has read an Elder Scroll. Some fans are fairly certain of this. He has lived at the top of the world for thousands of years. He had access. He had time. Some players think he read one long ago and has never spoken about what he saw. Some fans think the scroll showed him something about the Dragonborn, or about himself, or about what comes after the events of the game. He does not share it. He speaks carefully around certain topics. Some fans think his patience is partly the result of knowing something he has chosen not to say. The snow at the summit never moves, even when the wind picks up below. Up there, everything is still. The scrolls are pieces of something older than the current world. That is what some fans believe. Some players think the world has been made and remade more than once. Each time, the previous version was erased, but pieces of it survived. Fragments of the old reality that could not be fully removed. Some fans think the Elder Scrolls are those fragments. They do not belong to this version of the world. They are leftovers from a version that no longer exists. That is why they do not follow normal rules. They are not part of this world. They are just passing through it. There is a theory that the scrolls choose who reads them, not randomly. Some fans think each scroll drifts toward the person whose life it describes. Some players believe this is why the scroll found in Skyrim ended up where it did. It was not placed there. It arrived there. Some fans think scrolls move slowly through the world over centuries, passing from hand to hand, getting closer to the moment they are describing, until they arrive exactly where they need to be, in the hands of someone who does not yet know what they are about to do. The blind monks who carry the scrolls cannot read them. Most people know this. But some fans think the blindness is not just a side effect. Some players believe the monks were blinded on purpose, not as punishment, as protection. Some fans think a person who can see the world normally cannot safely carry a scroll for long. The mind starts to read it without meaning to. Small pieces come through. Over years, those pieces add up. The blindness is a barrier. It slows the reading down to almost nothing. Some fans think some monks still go slowly blind on the inside, even without their eyes. Prophecy in Skyrim is not a warning. It is not a gift. Some fans think it is simply time looking at itself. The scrolls do not tell the future because someone wrote it down. They show the future because the future and the past are the same thing, viewed from different directions. Some players think the Dragonborn never had a choice, not because they were forced, but because choice and fate at that level mean the same thing. The scroll always showed what would happen, because what would happen was always exactly what did. The scrolls are still out there, still drifting, still becoming whatever they are becoming. And somewhere in all of that, your name might already be written, quietly, in words that have not appeared yet. High Hrothgar is one of the quietest places in Skyrim. The wind moves around it, but never seems to enter. The greybeards inside speak rarely. When they do, the walls shake. Some fans have thought carefully about what is really happening up on that mountain. The greybeards are not meditating. That is what some fans believe. Meditation suggests rest, calm, something chosen. Some players think what the greybeards are actually doing is much harder than that. They think the greybeards are holding something back. Every word they know wants to come out. The Thuum is not just a skill, it is a pressure. Some fans think the greybeards spend every waking moment keeping their voices contained. The silence is not peace. It is effort. Constant, quiet, exhausting effort. Every single day. The stones of High Hrothgar are worn smooth, not from weather, from centuries of careful, quiet footsteps. Parthenax chose a long time ago to fight his own nature. Most people see his calm as wisdom, but some fans think the calm costs him something every day. Some players believe Parthenax is not naturally peaceful. He is naturally a dragon, aggressive, dominant, built to rule. Some fans think every conversation he has is a small battle, not with the person in front of him, with himself. His gentleness is not easy. It is the result of thousands of years of practice, and some fans think some days it is harder than others. Even now, the wind at High Hrothgar does not come from any direction. It just exists there. Some fans have noticed this and thought about it. Some players believe the wind is not weather at all. They think it is the breath of a greybeard who died on that mountain long ago. His Thuum did not disappear when he died. It had nowhere to go, so it stayed, moving slowly through the halls and the courtyards, patient and purposeless. Some fans think if you listen carefully in the right spot, it almost sounds like a word. Almost, but not quite. Arngeir knows more than he says. Most players feel this during the game, but some fans think the specific thing he is hiding is the Dragonborn's fate. Some players believe Arngeir read or was told something about what happens to a Dragonborn after their purpose is fulfilled. He does not share it. He deflects. He answers questions with other questions. Some fans think he is not being difficult, he is being kind. The information is not something he wants to hand to someone who still has to live through everything that comes first. The path up to High Hrothgar has 10 shrines. Each one marks a step on the 7,000 steps. Most people think of them as rest stops, places to read something meaningful on the way up. But some fans think the shrines are warnings. Some players believe each shrine was placed at a location where something went wrong in the past. A traveler who turned back. A pilgrim who lost their way. Some fans think the words on those shrines are not just teachings. They are records of people who did not make it, left there quietly so the next person would know what they were walking into. Long before the Greybeards took their vows of silence, High Hrothgar was a different kind of place. Some lore suggests the monastery was louder once, more active. Some fans think the decision to go silent was not a spiritual choice. Some players believe something happened at High Hrothgar that made noise dangerous. A shout that went wrong. A student who lost control. Some fans think the vow of silence was put in place after that. Not as a spiritual practice, as a rule. Because the last time the Greybeards spoke freely inside those walls, something was damaged that took a very long time to repair. Borri, Wulfgar, and Einarth almost never speak during the game. Arngeir does all the talking. Some fans find that worth thinking about. Some players believe the other Greybeards are further along in their practice than Arngeir. They have less left that can be safely said out loud. Some fans think the deeper a Greybeard goes into the Thu'um, and the fewer words remain available to them. They do not go silent because they choose quiet. They go silent because speaking becomes too powerful to risk. Arngeir still speaks because he is the one who has held the most back. He kept some words for human conversation. The others did not. There is a theory about what would happen if a Greybeard ever lost control completely. Some fans think about this quietly. Some players believe a fully unrestrained Greybeard shout would not just cause damage. It would unmake something, not destroy it. Remove it. From the world. From memory. From the way things are. Some fans think this is the real reason High Hrothgar sits so far from everything. Not for peace, for distance. So that if something ever went wrong, there would be enough space between the mountain and the rest of the world to matter. High Hrothgar is still up there. The Greybeards are still inside, still quiet, still holding. Some fans think the silence up there is the most important sound in all of Skyrim. The Falmer live in the dark now, deep underground, in ruins and caves where no light reaches. They attack anything that moves near them. But they were not always like this. And some fans think what they lost is still inside them somewhere. Very quiet, very deep. The Falmer remember who they were. Some fans believe this firmly. Not in a way they can act on. Not in a way they can speak. But some players think the memory is still there, buried under centuries of darkness and pain and change. Some fans think if you could somehow reach a Falmer at its quietest moment, you would find something underneath all the damage, a shape, a feeling, the outline of a snow elf who once looked up at a sky and knew what stars were. Some fans think that memory never fully leaves. It just gets very, very small. The deep roads under Skyrim have no wind, no sound except movement. The silence down there is a different kind of silence from anywhere above. Knight Paladin Gelibor has been alone for thousands of years. He waited in the Forgotten Vale while everything around him changed and stopped changing and changed again. He stayed faithful. He kept the way shrines clean. He held on to his purpose. But some fans think the waiting has done something to him that he does not fully see. Some players believe Gelibor has been alone long enough that his sense of time has changed. A year and a century feels similar to him now. Some fans think his kindness is real, but underneath it, something has gone very quiet in a way that was not always there. Loneliness, held long enough, becomes part of a person. The snow elves went to the Dwemer for help. That is the story. They were fleeing the ancient Nords, and they had nowhere else to go. The Dwemer took them in, then blinded them, fed them toxic fungi, enslaved them over generations until they became the Falmer. Most people think of this as a betrayal, but some fans think the snow elves were warned. Some players believe at least some snow elf leaders knew what the Dwemer intended. They came anyway. Some fans think they made a calculation. Slow destruction under the Dwemer was better than fast destruction above ground. It was not a good choice. It was just the only one they had left. Deep in Blackreach, where the giant mushrooms glow blue and the Dwemer towers stand empty, some fans think something is still trying. Some players believe there is a Falmer somewhere in those tunnels that has not fully lost its mind, not cured, not restored, just holding on to one small thing. Some fans think it might be a sound, a pattern of movement, something that was once a word in an old language. The Falmer cannot say it, but some fans think it circles back to that sound sometimes, in the dark, alone, not knowing what it is, just knowing it matters. The snow elves built tall towers across their lands. Most people assume the towers were for watching the horizon, looking for enemies approaching across the ground. But some fans think the towers were pointed upward for a reason. Some players believe the snow elves were watching the sky, not for weather, for something specific. Some fans think their records, fragmentary as they are, point toward an event they expected to come from above. What that event was is not clear. Some fans think they built high, because whatever they were watching for would not come from any direction a normal guard post could cover. It would come from somewhere higher than that. The Dwemer did not invent the blindness that destroyed the snow elves. Some fans think it was more deliberate than that. Some players believe the Dwemer studied what the toxic fungi would do over generations before they offered it as food. They knew the outcome. Some fans think the transformation of the snow elves into the Falmer was not a side effect of servitude. It was the goal from the beginning. The Dwemer wanted something that would work without asking questions, without remembering that things had once been different. Some fans think the Falmer were engineered, carefully, over a very long time. Gelibor's brother, Verther, was corrupted by vampirism and went mad. Gelibor waited for centuries, not knowing what had happened to him. Some fans think about what that waiting was like. Some players believe Gelibor spent a long time hoping his brother would come back, then hoping he would at least find out what happened, then just hoping for something. Some fans think by the end, Gelibor was no longer waiting for his brother. He was just waiting. The original reason had faded into something that was simply the shape of his days. He kept going, because stopping felt like losing the last thing he had. The snow elves are mostly gone now. The Falmer are what remains. But some fans think remains is the right word. Something of who they were is still present, still underground, still in the dark, still there. The war between the Stormcloaks and the Empire has been going on for a long time. Both sides have reasons. Both sides have losses. But some fans think the longer the war goes, the less it is really about what either side says it is about. Ulfric Stormcloak was captured by the Thalmor during the Great War. He was tortured. He gave up information. He did not know how much of what he said helped the enemy. Some fans think the Thalmor did not just break him during that time. They rebuilt him in a specific way. Some players believe the Thalmor shaped Ulfric's anger carefully before releasing him. They pointed it at the Empire, at Talos worship, at everything that would keep Skyrim unstable. Some fans think Ulfric believes every word he says. That is what makes it work. He is not a puppet who knows he has strings. He is a man who was quietly aimed at a target and then set free. The camps on both sides of the war are cold at night. The fires are small. The soldiers sleep close together for warmth. The Empire is not trying to win in Skyrim. Some fans believe the Imperial leadership already knows the province will be lost eventually. Some players think the generals and politicians in Cyrodiil have done the math. Skyrim is far. It is cold. It is full of people who do not want to be governed. Some fans think the Empire's real goal is not victory. It is delay. Every year, Skyrim stays attached to the Empire, is one more year of resources, one more year of soldiers, one more year before the Thalmor get everything they actually want. Some fans think the Empire is not fighting to keep Skyrim. It is fighting to slow down losing it. Every hold that changes hands loses something. Some fans think about this quietly. A city that was Stormcloak and becomes Imperial does not just change its flag. Some players believe something in the character of that place shifts. The people who left do not come back the same. The traditions that were interrupted do not restart cleanly. Some fans think each transfer of power removes something from a hold that cannot be named but can be felt. The place works the same way. The market opens, the guards patrol, but something underneath is slightly different from what it was before, and it does not go back. The soldiers fighting this war started for reasons: honor, freedom, loyalty, belief. But some fans think many of them have been fighting long enough that those reasons have faded. Some players believe a soldier who has been in the field for years stops thinking about why. They think about the person next to them, the next meal, the next watch. Some fans think both sides of this war are full of people who could not explain their cause clearly anymore. Not because they stopped caring, but because caring and surviving pulled in different directions for too long. And surviving won. The roads between hold capitals are quiet during the war. Merchants travel in groups now. Everyone moves a little faster than they used to. General Tullius does not love the Empire. Some fans think this is clear if you listen to how he speaks. He never talks about Cyrodiil with warmth. He never mentions what the Empire stands for. Some players believe Tullius stopped believing in the Empire as an idea a long time ago. And what he believes in now is order, structure. The idea that someone has to be in charge and that chaos is worse than the alternative. Some fans think Tullius is not loyal to the Empire. He is loyal to the concept of keeping things from falling apart. The Empire just happens to be the tool he has available for that job right now. Rika is different from Tullius. She is Nord. She understands what the Stormcloaks want because part of her wants it too. Some fans think Legate Riker is the most honest person in the Imperial camp. Some players believe she chose the Empire not because she thinks it is right, but because she thinks it is the only path that does not end in total destruction. Some fans think she carries that choice quietly every day. She is fighting people who believe what she believes. For a side, she chose out of practicality. That is a heavy thing to carry into a battle. The war will end. One side will lose. The hold banners will change. The soldiers who survive will go home or stay in the camps. But some fans think the thing the war actually cost will not show up in any count of the dead. Some players believe what the Civil War took from Skyrim was something older, a shared sense of what the land was. Some fans think both sides fought so hard over Skyrim that neither one ended up with the Skyrim they started fighting for. That version was used up in the fighting. What remains is just the cold and the mountains and the people trying to remember what they were before all of this. The fires in the camps burn low before morning. The soldiers on watch stand very still. Some of them are thinking about home. Some of them stopped doing that a while ago. Look up in Skyrim on a clear night, and the two moons are always there, Massa and Secunda, large and slow, moving across the sky like they have always been there and always will be. Some fans think that is not quite right. Some fans think those moons should not be there at all. Massa and Secunda are not moons. That is what some fans believe. They are what is left of Lorcan, the god who helped create the world and was killed for it. His body was torn apart. Some players think the two moons are pieces of that body, still in the sky, still slowly falling, still decaying. The reddish color of Massa is not atmospheric. Some fans think it is the color of something that was once alive and is no longer. The moons are not orbiting Nirn, they are drifting toward it, very slowly, over a very long time. On cold nights, the moons cast shadows that are slightly too sharp, like they are closer than they look. The world was not built. Some fans believe it was dreamed. In Elder Scrolls lore, the creation of Nirn involved beings of pure idea and concept, arguing and singing and fighting. Some players think what came out of that process was not a constructed world. It was a shared dream that hardened into something solid. Some fans think the world stays solid because the dreaming continues. Something is still dreaming it. If that dreaming stopped, the world would not explode or collapse. It would simply fade. Some fans think the reason certain places in Skyrim feel wrong or thin is because the dreaming there has grown restless. Something is starting to wake up, and a dreamer who wakes takes the dream with them. Lorcan's heart was torn from his body and thrown across the world. In Morrowind, it landed and became Red Mountain. But some fans think the heart did not stop. Some players believe it is still beating, slowly, deep underground. A heartbeat measured not in seconds, but in years. Some fans think this is why the earth in certain parts of Tamriel shakes without warning. Not geology, not magic. Just a very old heart still doing the only thing hearts know how to do. Some fans think as long as it beats, something of Lorcan is still present, unfinished, waiting for something that has not happened yet. The seasons in Skyrim are not natural. Some fans have thought about this carefully. The lore describes Skyrim as a place of harsh winters and brief summers, but some players think the pattern is not weather. It is the world trying to fix something. Some fans think the creation of Nirn left certain places unfinished, unstable. The seasons in those areas are the world running the same process over and over, trying to get it right. Winter comes, things go quiet, something resets. Summer comes briefly, then winter again. Some fans think the hold that Skyrim has on winter is not a climate feature. It is a wound that keeps reopening. High up in the Reach, there are stones that have stood since before the Nords arrived. They were there before anyone who is alive now can remember. The people who placed them are gone. Time moves differently in some parts of Skyrim. Some fans believe this is not just a feeling. Some players think certain locations exist slightly out of step with the rest of the world, places where the creation was done quickly or carelessly. Some fans think in those spots. An hour might feel like a long afternoon, or a night might pass before anyone noticed it started. Some fans point to certain ruins where the dust never settles and the light never quite matches the sky outside. They think those places are still being made. Somewhere in the process, the world just never got back to finish them. The creation of Nirn involved sacrifice. Several beings gave up parts of themselves to make the world real. Some fans think those sacrifices are still present in the world, not as memories, as physical things. Some players believe certain mountains are made of something that was once a god. Certain rivers run with something that was once a thought. Some fans think the world is not made of rock and water and air. It is made of what gods gave up to make rock and water and air possible. And those materials still carry something of what they came from. Quiet, deep, but present. The two moons rise every night. They do not hurry. They move the way very old things move. Slowly, without concern for anything watching them. Some fans think they are the oldest things in the Skyrim sky. Older than the dragons, older than the Dwemer, older than almost everything that has ever looked up and noticed them. They were falling before any of it began, and they are still falling now, patient and quiet, like everything in this world that has been waiting a very long time. Vampires in Skyrim are not just monsters. They were people once, every one of them. Some fans think that fact matters more than most players stop to consider, and some of what happened to those people is stranger and sadder than it first appears. Every vampire in Skyrim still dreams. Some fans believe this quietly. Sleep is supposed to be a mortal thing, but some players think vampires do not fully leave it behind. They rest during the day, and when they do, some fans think they dream of who they were. Not nightmares, just ordinary memories. A village, a name someone called them. A morning they woke up and felt warm. Some fans think those dreams are the hardest part of being a vampire. Not the hunger, not the isolation. The nightly reminder of something that cannot come back. The dark in vampire lairs is a specific kind of dark. Not just absence of light, something heavier than that. Like the dark itself has been there a very long time. The first vampire did not ask Molag Bal for power. Some fans believe the original request was much simpler. Some players think the first person Molag Bal transformed came to him not for strength or immortality. They came because they were afraid of being forgotten. They wanted to last. To still exist when everyone who knew them was gone. Some fans think Molag Bal heard that request and answered it in the most literal way possible. You want to last. Fine, you will last. Everything else that made you who you were is a separate matter. Some fans think every vampire who came after inherited that original bargain without knowing it. Molag Bal built vampirism to mirror something. Some fans think about this carefully. He is the prince of domination and corruption. Most people assume he created vampires as weapons, tools for spreading his influence. But some players think the real design is more personal than that. Some fans think Molag Bal created vampirism to show mortals what he sees when he looks at them, something that needs to consume others to survive, something that cannot be in the light, something that lives at the expense of everything around it. Some fans think vampirism is not a curse he inflicted, it is a reflection he holds up, and some vampires, given long enough, start to agree with what they see. Harkon led the Volkihar vampires for centuries. He believed in the tyranny of the sun prophecy. He gave up his family for it. He gave up almost everything. But some fans think Harkon stopped caring whether the prophecy was true a long time before the game begins. Some players believe he kept pushing toward it, because the alternative was admitting what he had already lost. Some fans think Harkon did not believe in the prophecy. He believed in needing the prophecy to be real. There is a difference. A man who has given up everything for a cause cannot afford to question the cause. He just keeps going. Because stopping means looking at what is already gone. The candles in Castle Volkihar burn very slowly. Some of them look like they have been burning for decades. Nobody replaces them. Nobody needs to. Serana was locked away for centuries. She came out into a world that had moved on completely. Some fans think about what that was like. Some players believe Serana spent a long time after being freed simply trying to understand what she had missed. Not the history, the feeling of ordinary time passing, days that were not remarkable, seasons changing for no reason. Some fans think that is what she actually wanted when she talked about a cure. Not to be human again, just to be someone for whom time moved at a normal speed. Someone who could have a regular Tuesday and not feel the weight of every century pressing down on it. The cure for vampirism exists in Skyrim. Phalion in Morthal can perform it. The process involves a filled black soul gem and a specific ritual. It works. But some fans think the cure is not complete. Some players believe something does not come back after the transformation is reversed. Not the hunger, not the power, something quieter. Some fans think a person who has been a vampire for a long time loses the ability to fully believe that ordinary life is enough. The cure removes the condition. It does not remove the memory of what it felt like to be something more than mortal. Some fans think that memory stays, and for some people, it is the hardest thing to live with. Vampirism in Skyrim is very old. Older than most of the factions that fight over the province. Older than most of what players encounter in the game. Some fans think it is one of the few things in Skyrim that has never really changed. The people it takes change. The world around it changes. But the condition itself stays the same. Patient. Quiet. Waiting for the next person who wants something badly enough to stop asking what it costs. The Jarls of Skyrim sit in their halls and make decisions. They manage taxes and soldiers and borders. They deal with petty disputes and large ones. But some fans think the visible part of what a Jarl does is only half the picture. The other half is quieter and older. Every Jarl in Skyrim has made a private deal with a Daedric prince. That is what some fans believe. Not all of them made the same deal. Not all of them made it knowingly. But some players think the kind of power a Jarl holds does not come purely from land and soldiers. It comes from something older than Nord law. Some fans think each Jarl at some point in their life or their family's history made a promise to something that was listening. The details differ. The basic shape is the same. Power given, something owed, quietly, with no record kept. The Mead Hall of Dragon's Reach sits on a foundation older than the building above it. The stones at the base are a different colour from the rest. Nobody talks about why. The Thuum was not passed down through the greybeards. Some fans think the official story is incomplete. The greybeards preserved certain shouts, taught certain students, but some players believe the full tradition of the voice was deliberately broken at some point. Some fans think Old Nord leaders decided that a population of people who could shout freely was too dangerous to govern. The knowledge was not lost, it was hidden, spread across word walls in remote locations, locked inside ruins that most people would never reach. Some fans think the greybeards did not just preserve the Thuum, they were also part of the system that kept it away from most people, quietly. For a very long time, the concept of Sovngarde kept Nord warriors fighting. Some fans think about this with a kind of tired honesty. A warrior who believes that a good death leads to a feast hall full of heroes will fight harder, will take risks a person without that belief would not take. Some players think the old Nord kings understood this very well. Some fans think Sovngarde as a religious concept was shaped and promoted specifically because it produced better soldiers. The belief may be true. Sovngarde does exist in the lore, but some fans think the way it was taught and spread had as much to do with military need as with genuine faith. The kings needed men who were not afraid to die, so they gave them a reason not to be. The old Nord kings knew the Dragonborn prophecy was coming. Some fans believe this. The prophecy is ancient. The signs were in the old texts for anyone who could read them. Some players think certain kings in Skyrim's history read those texts and understood what they described. A single person with the power to absorb dragon souls and challenge Alduin himself. Some fans think some of those kings tried to stop it, not because they wanted Alduin to win, but because a dragonborn answers to no Jarl, no king, no tradition. Some fans think the prophecy was quietly suppressed in certain eras, buried in vaults, kept away from scholars, because the kings who read it recognized that the person it described would be impossible to control. The wind comes through the doors of mead halls differently than it comes through other buildings, slower, like it knows it is welcome. Mead halls were not just places to drink. Some fans have thought about their older function carefully. In ancient Nord culture, the mead hall was the one place where things could be said that could not be said anywhere else. Accusations, confessions, challenges, grief. Some players think this was not accidental. The mead hall operated under a specific social understanding. What was spoken there stayed there. Some fans think this tradition made mead halls the most politically important buildings in any hold. More than the Jarl's throne room, more than the temple. The throne room was where decisions were announced. The mead hall was where they were actually made, in the noise and the firelight and the warm permission of an open cup. Jarl Balgruf has held Whiterun through the Civil War without fully committing to either side. Some fans think his neutrality is not just politics. Some players believe Balgruf knows something about Whiterun that neither the Empire nor the Stormcloaks know. Something about the city itself. Why it has stood so long. What sits under Dragon's Reach. Some fans think his reluctance to commit is not weakness. It is the careful behavior of someone who understands that Whiterun's stability depends on things that have nothing to do with which army controls it. He is protecting something, quietly, by keeping everyone else at a comfortable distance. The old Nord burial traditions involve placing things with the dead that they would need in Sovngarde, weapons, food, tokens from people who loved them. Some fans think those traditions carried a practical belief that most modern Nords have softened into symbolism. Some players believe the old Nords thought the objects actually traveled with the soul, not metaphorically, actually. Some fans think the burial mounds of Skyrim are not just graves, they are packed for a journey. And the care taken in some of those preparations suggests the people doing the packing were very serious about where they thought their dead were going. The companions have their own traditions that predate Nord culture in Skyrim entirely. Some fans think about what that means for the Jarls who share a city with them. Some players believe the relationship between Jorvaskr and Dragon's Reach is older and more complicated than it looks. Some fans think there was a time when the Jarl of Whiterun and the leader of the companions operated under a specific agreement, one that has never been written down, one that both sides still honor without discussing. Some fans think that agreement has to do with what sits under Jorvaskr. The Jarl leaves it alone. The companions stay out of hold politics. Neither side acknowledges the arrangement, but it holds. The Nord tradition of the last word is still practiced in some parts of Skyrim. A person facing death is given the chance to say one thing that will be remembered and repeated. Some fans think this tradition is older than it looks. Some players believe it started as something more literal. The last word was not just a final statement, it was a shout, a final release of whatever voice a person had. Some fans think the tradition became symbolic after the Thuum was hidden. The forms stayed. The original meaning faded. But some fans think, in very old families, in very remote parts of Skyrim, the original version is still practiced. Quietly, among people who still know what a last word was actually supposed to do. The Jarls sit in their halls tonight. The fires are burning. The cups are full. And somewhere underneath the warm, ordinary surface of all of it, old promises are still being kept by people who would never say so out loud. Skyrim is full of things that should not be there, things that have no clear explanation. Players have been finding them for years, pointing at them quietly, asking questions that the game never answers. Some of those things are accidents. Some of them might be something else entirely. The chest under the Whiterun blacksmith has no explanation. It sits beneath the ground, clipping through the floor near War Maidens, full of items that match what the shop sells. Some players use it as a glitch, but some fans think the real explanation is stranger than a programming error. There is a theory that the chest exists because of how the game world dreams itself into place. Some players think certain merchants in Skyrim exist in two places at once. Their visible shop, and a deeper version of it that sits underneath. The surface store is what you see during the day. The chest is the store as it exists when no one is looking. Some fans think the glitch did not create the chest. It just made it visible. The roads near Whiterun are quiet at night. The wind moves through the grass slowly. Everything looks exactly as it should, which is sometimes the most unusual thing of all. The Headless Horseman rides through Skyrim every night. He has a specific route. He moves through hold capitals and along old roads. He never stops. He never responds to anything. And some fans have followed him carefully enough to notice something. He seems to be riding toward a destination. Some players think he is not wandering. He is going somewhere specific. Soon some fans believe that destination is a location that does not currently exist in the game, a place that was planned and removed before the game was finished. Some fans think the horseman is still riding to a location his original code remembers, a place the world forgot but he did not. He will ride there forever, patient and headless and absolutely certain of where he is going. Barbas is the dog who belongs to Clavicus VL. He appears in the Daedric quest and speaks and has opinions and has clearly been around for a very long time. But some fans think Barbas has been around longer than that quest implies. Some players believe Barbas has been walking Skyrim in one form or another since before recorded history, not just serving Clavicus Vile, moving through the world, watching. Some fans think Barbas remembers things no living person in Skyrim remembers. The founding of the Companions, the Dragon War, the disappearance of the Dwemer. He was there for all of it, in different forms, on different roads, but always present, always moving forward at the same steady pace. The children of Skyrim cannot be harmed. Every player knows this. It is a game mechanic. But some fans think the in-world explanation is something worth sitting with. Some players believe the children of Skyrim are protected by something real within the lore, not a rule, an actual force. Some fans think Mara placed a ward over every child in the province long ago, a quiet protection that has never been lifted. Some players think this is why certain dark events in the game never reach the children. They are seen, they are aware, but something steers harm away from them before it arrives. Some fans think the children know this, not consciously, but in the way that safe people carry themselves, without fear, without reason to have any. A child in Whiterun once told the Dragonborn that she knows all the secret paths in the city. She was not lying. Children in Skyrim always seem to know more than they should. The loading screens in Skyrim show a slow rotation of objects, weapons, creatures, plants. The Dragonborn turns them in their hands, looking at them, and some fans think that is exactly what is happening. Some players believe the loading screens are not technical pauses. They are moments inside the Dragonborn's mind. Between one place and another, the Dragonborn dreams briefly. The objects shown are things they have encountered, things they are carrying with them. Some fans think the loading screen is the closest the game ever gets to showing you what the inside of the Dragonborn's head looks like, just quiet and full of the things they have touched and seen and carried through a very long journey. The ghost of Lucien Lechance appears in the Dark Brotherhood questline. He is dead. He should not be walking around. But some fans think his presence is more significant than a story detail. Some players believe certain people in Skyrim leave impressions so strong that they persist without intending to. Lucian was deeply connected to the Night Mother, to the Void, to things that do not fully release their hold on a person, even after death. Some fans think Lucian is not haunting the Dark Brotherhood. He is still working for it, from whatever place he went to, still giving guidance, still present, because some people are simply too committed to their purpose to stop when their body does. There are doors in Skyrim that cannot be opened, not locked, not blocked, just closed. Some have no visible handles. Some appear in the back walls of inns and shops. Some are in ruins with no clear reason to be there. Some fans think these doors were not left in by accident. Some players believe they mark locations where content was planned and removed. But some fans take it further. They think some of those doors exist because the world of Skyrim is larger than what the player can see. Some fans think the doors open onto parts of the world that exist in the lore, but not in the game, places that are real within the fiction, just not accessible. The door is there because the place behind it is real. You just cannot reach it from where you are standing. The world of Skyrim is bigger than any player has fully mapped. Some fans have spent years looking into corners, finding things, taking notes. And still the list of unexplained details keeps growing. Some of them are mistakes. Some of them are leftovers. and some of them, some fans think, are exactly what they look like. Small windows into something that was always there, just waiting for someone patient enough to look directly at it. Skyrim is not just a place. Some fans have believed this for a long time, not in a poetic way, in a literal one. They think the land itself is aware, not thinking the way people think, not feeling the way people feel, but present, responsive, old in a way that goes deeper than any ruin or any grave or any story anyone has told about it. Skyrim pushed the dragons out. That is what some fans believe. Not the Dragonborn alone, not the companions or the greybeards or the ancient Nord heroes. The land itself grew tired of the dragons and began to resist them. Some players think the Dragon War ended, not just because mortals fought back. They think the ground stopped cooperating with the creatures living on it. The weather shifted, the paths became harder, the places dragons relied on became less reliable. Some fans think the land made a slow decision over many years. It had carried dragons long enough. It was ready for something different. The mortals who fought were part of that change, but they were not the whole of it. The mountains in the Reach look different in the early morning. The light hits them at an angle that makes them seem slightly taller than they did the night before. Some people who live near them say they have always looked that way. The mountains of Skyrim are still growing. Some fans believe this. Not quickly. Not in any way a single person could measure in a lifetime. But some players think the peaks are slightly taller now than they were during the Dragon War. The war shook the world deeply. The thuum of thousands of dragons and mortals moved through the earth like sound moves through water. Some fans think the land absorbed all of that and is still slowly releasing it. The mountains growing are the world exhaling. Very slowly, over thousands of years. Some fans think the throat of the world is the tallest point on Nirn, not because it was always that high, but because it has been exhaling the longest. Nirn carries its dead. Some fans think about this carefully. Arche governs the cycle of souls. When a person dies and their soul reaches Arche's care, the cycle continues properly. But when a soul is trapped, lost, consumed by a soul gem, devoured in Sovngarde, the cycle breaks. Some players think Nirn itself feels that break, not as pain exactly, but as weight. Some fans think the world gets slightly heavier every time a soul does not return the way it was supposed to. Over thousands of years of soul gems and necromancy and Daedric bargains, some fans think that weight has built up into something the world carries constantly, in its stillness, in its cold, in the way certain places never quite feel right. There is a valley in the rift that local hunters avoid after midday. They do not explain why, clearly. They just say the light changes there in a way that is hard to look at directly. Some valleys in Skyrim exist in 2 times at once. That is what some fans believe. Elder Scrolls lore allows for the idea that time is not perfectly stable everywhere. Some players think certain low-lying areas in Skyrim sit at points where 2 moments overlap. An old version of the valley and the current one exist in the same physical space. Most people move through without noticing. They see one or the other without realizing a choice is being made. Some fans think the people who feel uneasy in certain valleys are the ones whose minds are picking up both versions at the same time. Not a vision, not a haunting, just 2 moments of the same place sitting on top of each other, quietly, without resolution. The auroras over Skyrim are one of the most beautiful things in the game. Green and white and slow across a dark sky. But some fans think beauty is not the point of them. Some players believe the auroras are not light at all. They are edges, outlines, the places where gods once stood, and the world still holds the shape of their presence. Some fans think when a being of enormous power spends time in a place, that place does not fully return to what it was before. The auroras mark those locations, she moving slowly because the gods moved slowly when they were present, fading at the edges because memory fades, but still there, still tracing something that was once much larger and more present than it is now. The rivers of Skyrim run cold, even in summer. Some fans think the cold is not just climate. Some players believe the rivers in Skyrim run through stone that is still processing the Dragon War, still filtering something out of the earth that the war put in. Some fans think the water that comes down from the mountains carries trace amounts of old power with it, diluted to almost nothing by the time it reaches the valleys, but present. Some fans think this is why the people of Skyrim are the way they are, stubborn, hard to move, resistant to change. They have been drinking that water their whole lives, and so did everyone who came before them. The forests in the south of Skyrim are older than the ones in the north. Some fans think the trees there remember things, not the way people remember, the way very old living things hold patterns in their growth. A harsh year shows in the rings. Some players think certain groves in the Rift and the Reach hold patterns in their wood that correspond to specific events in Skyrim's history. The Dragon War, the disappearance of the Dwemer, the return of the dragons. Some fans think if you knew how to read it, you could find the entire history of the land written in the growth of its oldest trees, quietly, in rings, going back further than any written record. Skyrim breathes, it shifts, it carries things, it remembers in the way that only land can remember, not in words, not in stories, in weight and shape and the slow movement of things that do not hurry. You have walked on it, you have heard the wind move across it, and somewhere underneath all of that, it has noticed. In whatever way a land notices anything, quietly, and without needing to say so, the people you pass in Skyrim without stopping are easy to forget. The innkeeper who hands you a room key, the beggar near the gate, the man sitting alone at the end of the bar. Some fans think those people deserve more attention than they usually get. Some of them are carrying things that no quest marker will ever point you toward. The innkeepers of Skyrim know too much. Some fans have noticed this for years. Walk into any inn, and the innkeeper already knows about local rumors, political tensions, things happening in holds far away. Some players think this is not just flavor dialogue. They think the innkeepers are connected. Some fans believe there is a network running through every inn in Skyrim, older than the Thieves' Guild, older than most of the factions players interact with. Information moves through it, slowly and carefully. A traveller mentions something in Rorikstead. By the time someone reaches Windhelm, the innkeeper there already has a version of it. Some fans think the network has no name, no leader. It just runs. The way old things run, out of habit and necessity, and the understanding that information kept moving is information kept safe. The fire in the Bannered Mare in Whiterun has been burning for a very long time. The staff does not talk about how long. They just keep it fed. The court wizards of Skyrim all know the same thing. Some fans believe this firmly. Farengar in Whiterun, Woundfirth in Windhelm, Sibylla Stentor in Solitude, Calixto in Windhelm. Different people, different holds, different personalities. But some players think at some point in their careers, and each of them was told a specific piece of information and asked to keep it quiet. Some fans think the secret has to do with the nature of magic in Skyrim, specifically with what is happening to it. The slow weakening that some fans believe is occurring. Some fans think the court wizards were told because their jobs require them to notice it, and they were told to say nothing because the Jarls decided that particular truth was not one the public needed to hold. Every beggar in Skyrim was someone else before. That is true in the obvious sense. They had lives, jobs, families. But some fans think some of them remember those lives much more clearly than they let on. Some players believe certain beggars in Skyrim's cities are people who chose to disappear, not because they lost everything, but because they needed to stop being who they were. Some fans think if you knew which ones to ask and how to ask them, you would find people with histories that would change how you understood certain events in the game. They are not background characters. They are people who stepped out of their own stories and into the edges of everyone else's, quietly, on purpose, for reasons they do not share. The beggar outside the Temple of Kinnereth in Whiterun always faces the same direction. Nobody has ever seen him look anywhere else. He does not ask for much. He does not say much either, but he is always there, always watching the same piece of street. The abandoned houses of Skyrim are not empty. Some fans think this carefully. A house in Markarth with a burned family inside. A home in Windhelm boarded up after a murder. Places the game marks as abandoned and leaves alone. In some players believe those houses still have people in them. Not ghosts, exactly. Not spirits in the traditional sense. But some fans think people who experience something traumatic enough in a place leave something of themselves behind that does not know it is supposed to be gone. The house feels abandoned because the visible people left, but something else is still there, still moving through the same rooms, still following the same patterns, not haunting, just continuing, because nobody told it to stop. The man in the cart at the beginning of the game is named Ralof, if you side with the Stormcloaks, or rides with Lokir, if you look carefully. But some fans think about the other man, the one who shares the cart with you in those first minutes. Some players believe that man was supposed to be the Dragonborn, that in an earlier version of the story, the prophecy landed on someone else, and then it shifted. Some fans think the man in the cart knows this. On some level, he cannot explain. He was supposed to be something. He can feel the absence of it. Some fans think that is why he seems so resigned, not just to execution, to something larger, the sense that something that was meant for him went somewhere else, and he cannot name it, but he feels it every moment of that ride. The Dark Brotherhood has kept records of every contract they have fulfilled for centuries. Those records are hidden in places only the highest members know. Some fans think those records include names that would change how players understand Skyrim's history. Political figures, religious leaders, people who died at apparently natural times. Some players believe the Brotherhood has been more present in Skyrim's major events than any history book suggests, not causing those events, just arriving at the right moment, fulfilling a contract, and leaving before anyone thought to ask who had hired them or why. The merchants who travel the roads of Skyrim alone carry more than their packs suggest. Some fans think the traveling merchants are among the most informed people in the province. They move between every hold. They speak to everyone. They are overlooked because they seem ordinary. Some players believe certain merchants have been passing information between factions for years, not for money, not for ideology, just because they see everything and saying nothing felt like waste. Some fans think the most accurate picture of what is really happening in Skyrim at any given moment exists in the head of a tired merchant, sitting alone at a campfire somewhere between Whiterun and Riften, watching the road, remembering everything. The fire in every inn burns through the night. The innkeeper banks it before they sleep, and it is still going in the morning. Some fans think those fires are the most honest things in Skyrim. They do not take sides. They do not keep secrets. They just burn. And they have been burning long enough to have seen almost everything worth seeing, quietly, in the background, while everyone else was looking somewhere else. This is the last chapter. The theories from here move slowly. They are not puzzles to solve. They are not arguments to follow. They are just quiet ideas to carry with you as everything gets softer, as the world outside goes still, as Skyrim waits for you on the other side of sleep. The Dragonborn never fully left Skyrim. Some fans believe this in a very specific way. Every dragon's soul absorbed during the journey left something behind, not in the Dragonborn, in the world. Some players think the act of absorption works in both directions. The Dragonborn takes the soul in, but something of the moment stays in the place where it happened. A trace, a warmth in the air near a word wall, a stillness around the place where a dragon fell. Some fans think if you went back to every location where a dragon died at the Dragonborn's hands, you would find those places are slightly different from the land around them. Not visibly, just in the way the air sits there, in the way sound moves through it. Something passed through that spot, something large, and the world held the shape of it long after the moment ended. The mountains remember, the stones remember. The cold air over a battlefield remembers in the only way cold air can, by staying exactly as it was. Those traces are not fading. Some fans think they are actually growing more defined over time. Some players believe the locations where the Dragonborn acted are becoming part of the permanent character of the land. The word walls were already sacred. The places around them are becoming sacred too. Not because anyone decided that, but because enough power moved through them to change what they are at a level no one can see directly. Some fans think a traveler who passes through one of those spots 100 years from now will feel something without knowing why. A sense of weight, of significance, of something important having happened right here. They will not know what, but the land will still be carrying it. Patient and quiet and very sure of itself. You were there, in those places, and part of what they are now is because of that. Sovngarde has a room that nobody has ever entered. Some fans are certain of this. The Hall of Valor is large. The heroes feast and drink and tell their stories. But some players think there is a part of Sovngarde that exists apart from all of that. A room at the back or the side, or somewhere that most souls never notice. Some fans think the door to that room is always slightly open, not inviting, not threatening, just open. A crack of something beyond even the afterlife. Some players think that room belongs to no god and no hero. Some fans think it is where the world keeps the things it is not ready to use yet. Old possibilities. Paths that were considered and set aside, versions of events that almost happened. The room holds all of it, quietly, behind a door that is always just barely open. The firelight in the Hall of Valor does not flicker. It just glows, steady and gold, the same at every hour. Time does not move there the way it moves here. No one who has visited Sovngarde in the lore describes that room. Some fans think that is because people who see it do not report it. Not because they are told not to, but because the moment they turn toward it, something else draws their attention. A familiar face, a sound from the feast, something that pulls them back into the warmth of what they know. Some players think that is not accidental. Some fans think whatever is in that room is not meant to be seen yet. The door is open because it is confident it will not be entered before it is time. Some fans think that kind of patience is only possible for something that has been waiting longer than any living thing has been alive. The snow in Skyrim does not fall. It rises. That is what some fans believe. Not all snow, not always, but some of it. Some players think the snow that sits on the ground in the old places, near burial mounds, near ancient word walls, near the sites of old battles, that snow comes up from below. It is not precipitation. It is the cold exhaled by whatever is buried underneath. Old things buried deep in Skyrim are very cold. Some fans think that cold works its way up through the earth over centuries and becomes the white ground cover that players walk across without thinking. You have walked on snow that came from something very old, something that has been down there a long time, still breathing out, still cold, still present underneath your feet. The burial mounds of ancient Nords go deep, deeper than the visible entrance. Some of them connect to passages that connect to other passages. The underground of Skyrim is as large as the surface, maybe larger. Think about the snow near Labyrinthian. It never fully melts, even in the warmest parts of the year. Some fans think the cold there comes from far below, from the things sealed inside it centuries ago, from the magic that has been sitting in those stones since the dragon priests walked them. Some players think the temperature around Labyrinthian is not weather. It is memory, the cold that magic leaves behind when it has nowhere to go, rising slowly, becoming frost on the stones, becoming the particular stillness of that place that players feel before they even enter. Some fans think if you stood very still in front of Labyrinthian at dawn and put your hand near the ground, you would feel it coming up. Very faint, very cold, very old. Every character name a player has ever given, their Dragonborn is recorded somewhere. Some fans hold on to this idea gently, not as a game mechanic, as something true within the world of the lore. Some players believe the Elder Scrolls record everything, every name, every choice, every version of events. Some fans think somewhere in the collection of scrolls that no single person has ever read in full, there is a passage that lists every name the Dragonborn was ever given, in every playthrough, in every version of the story, all of them, side by side, real and permanent and equally true. Some fans think your character's name is in there, written down, in a language older than anything spoken today, waiting to be found by someone who will probably never look for it. Your name, exactly as you typed it. In a book no one has opened. In a place no one has found. The scrolls do not distinguish between versions of a story. Some fans think this is the most important thing about them. They do not record what happened. They record what is. And what is includes every possibility, every path taken, every dragon killed or spared, every alliance made, every choice at every crossroads. Some players think the Dragonborn exists in the scrolls, not as a single person, but as a shape, a role filled by everyone who ever played the game, all of them at once. Some fans think that is why the prophecy never names the Dragonborn specifically, because the scrolls already knew there would be more than one. There would be all of them, at the same time, across different fires, on different nights, falling asleep in different rooms, all of them you. Skyrim is still out there. The fires are still burning. That is the last theory, the simplest one. the one that does not need much explaining. Some fans believe that the world of Skyrim does not stop when you close the game. Not because the hardware keeps running, but because a world that fully exists in the imagination of enough people never really goes dark. Some players think Skyrim is one of those worlds. Too many people have spent too many hours in it, learned its roads, memorized its music, felt something real inside it. Some fans think a world like that develops a kind of permanence that does not depend on a screen being on. The fires in the inns are still burning. The companions are still in Jorvaska. The greybeards are still on the mountain, still quiet, still holding. The snow is still falling on Whiterun, slowly, the way it always does. The guards are still on the walls. The market is still open even in the cold. Belethor is still behind his counter making the same joke he always makes. The forge at War Maidens is still going. The smell of it drifts across the wind the same way it always did. None of it has stopped. None of it has changed. It is all exactly as you left it. The road out of Helgen is still there, long and cold and leading north toward everything that comes after. The cart tracks are frozen into the mud from that first morning, from the beginning of all of it. The beginning is still there too, still available, still waiting for someone to arrive at it for the first time. The auroras are moving over the mountains tonight, green and white and very slow. The moons are up, both of them, large and patient and casting soft shadows across the snow. The wolves are quiet tonight. The roads are empty. The torches on the walls of the cities are burning low, but still burning. The whole province is breathing slowly, in and out. The way it always breathes when things are at rest. You are still there somewhere in it, walking through the mist, near a word wall, on a mountain path, in a place you went once and never forgot. Skyrim kept that version of you. It always does. It holds on to the people who walked through it and does not let those impressions fade. You are part of the land now, part of the cold, part of the long memory that the mountains carry without effort, without end. The fire is low now. The room is quiet. The world outside your window is dark and still. Skyrim is out there somewhere past all of it, exactly as it was, exactly as it always will be, patient and cold and full of things worth knowing, waiting for you to come back whenever you are ready, in the morning, or in the dream that is already starting now. It does not matter which. It will be there either way, still burning, still breathing, still yours. Rest now.